Today on Community Watch, my guest is Willie Mae Samuel, and we will be talking about a very close friend of ours. Please stay with us. Community Watch starts now. Welcome to Community Watch, and my name is John Hershey. I want to welcome my very special guest and friend, Willie Mae Samuel.
Thank you so much. So good to be here.
You know, the many times you were on Community Watch over the years, I would introduce you primarily, I guess, as the, executive director of the Performing Arts organization, the Connection for the
I'm
Performing
not sure
Arts.
how you would introduce me, but I'm the founder, along with our friend who's no longer with us, Greg Shropshire. As a matter of fact, he was the finance chairperson. He was the person in charge of finances. So, but you would just introduce me as the director, the founder of the African American Connection for the Performing Arts.
Which you still are.
Still am, yes.
And also, though, I think a lot of people now know you as a columnist.
I've heard people refer to me with that word. I do write, yes, weekly. And so I guess I can be referred to as that, right?
For the Rome News.
Rome News Tribune, right.
And I've really enjoyed those columns.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much.
Okay. I never see any comments, negative or positive. So from now on, let me know you're out there.
I will.
Okay.
I will. Well, this is the first Community Watch that we have, that we've made, that we've taped since we lost my co-host, Greg Shropshire, in August of last year, 2022.
Your co-host and my spiritual son. It's been devastating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it seemed, we wanted to get back on track with the show. I figured Greg would want that too. So it's taken us a little while, but we're back. But we wanted to spend one show talking about Greg as a person that we cared deeply for and worked with, and it just seemed appropriate for our first show to be about him.
I thought that was wise and thoughtful of you to have him as a topic for the first show.
Well, and I'm grateful to you for being willing to do that with me.
Thank you for asking me.
So I know that Greg and I did this show. We would say 14 years.
My Lord.
That's a long time. And of course, we knew each other, for some years before that. Mm-hmm. But the history that you had with Greg is unique, I think. And where did y'all meet? Where did you meet Greg?
Do you know, I can't remember our first meeting, but I do remember the first one that's impactful, because he was not performing arts kind of person. He didn't go that way with me. Yeah. But one year he came to the program that we had, and it was the title of it was "The Power of a Mother's Love." And after that particular program, he came to me and he said, "We've got to do more than one play a year, and because one is not sufficient." So I said, "Okay, Greg, I'll do it, but I need one promise from you." And he said, "What is that?" And I said, "I need you to promise that you'll walk with me when we do these other 2 shows." So we ended up, he liked the idea of doing the one for Juneteenth, and that's why a lot of people are saying that what we did last year was the first Juneteenth representation that we had here, but it's not. In 2006, he said, "Okay, and I know what play I want you to do. I know what production I want you to do." I had done years ago in '93, I'd done a play. It was called Kings and Queens of the Nile now, or sometimes we would call it Kings and Queens of Africa, with just different names. And he remembered that, and so he said, "I'll help you do that, and that's the one I want you to do." And so that's the one we did, and he walked with us and helped us to put it on stage.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I think this happened just before that, because he said, "You need to be a 501c3. And as a 501c3, there's some things you need to do." So he helped us to get the 501c3, but we didn't have any money because I had operated in the school many years. There's no money. You don't have any money. You go out of your pocket if you do things at school. So we had no money to stage anything. So he had a little group called Nickels and Dimes.
No, this is new. This is new to me.
Okay, it was called Nickels and Dimes. And he said, we have some money in it. It was going to be an investment group. And he said, "And we can let you borrow what you think it's going to take to put the play on." So we borrowed $600 from the Nickels and Dimes organization and staged that play. So that's a part of our togetherness. We paid it back after the production. We made enough money to pay them back.
Well,
that's it.
That's great. I can tell you exactly when I first met Greg, and I was a instructor at Georgia Highlands, and I was which was then Floyd College, and Greg was a student. He had served in the military.
Okay.
And had come home and was working then, I think, at Hayes Prison.
Okay.
In Chattooga County. But he decided to go back to school or go to college, and he came to Floyd College as what we would call a non-traditional student. He was a few years older.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so at the time, I was a faculty advisor for a student organization called Black Awareness Society.
Okay.
Which had been started by Judy Sims.
Okay.
Who was, many people know Judy still, and we lost her a couple of years ago.
Right. I remember that.
She was a communication faculty at Floyd College and then Georgia Highlands. And so she was the primary faculty advisor for the Black Awareness Society, but at the time she had young children and couldn't commit to it all the time. And
right.
So I was the young guy. So I helped her with that. And so the day that Greg attended his first meeting, I was there, Judy was not, and he took one look at me and just said, hell no.
No. No. Black awareness. Black awareness. And here is this man sitting here, huh?
And he went to talk to the president, the college president, about it. And the president at the time said, well, let's give the guy a chance. If you still have problems, we'll talk.
Okay, that was great.
So Greg fortunately gave me a chance, sort of. I mean, we were kind of, he was testing me for quite a while. But obviously after that, we became close friends.
Very close.
And not only did the show, we did quite a few things together.
Yeah, surely did. It was hard to separate you all, especially with the 100. That was strange, wasn't it? The 100 black men, and you were there doing your thing and what you do best, and that is communicate with people and help in whatever way you can.
We still have the foundation camp, which Greg and I started with David Mathis, and and that's continuing. We plan for that to continue this year.
That's great.
With the help of the 100 Black Men of Rome, Northwest Georgia. So that's a little bit, I guess, of our history with Greg. But the reason his loss, or I guess that's what we need to talk about, is the reason or reasons his loss went beyond just our personal connection with him.
Yes, because yesterday I had a group, we were meeting about the An Affair to Remember, and that was on my mind. Greg was on my mind, so and everybody there had a contact, a connection with Greg. So I said, just tell me what you thought about him, what kind of relations you have with him, and they all started talking, and all females they were. Then I talked with my oldest son this morning, and he said, a million things I could tell you about Greg and how he impacted not just my life, but how he impacted the lives of the people that he encountered, or who encountered him. So they were throwing out all kinds of adjectives, and we'll talk about some of them.
We will.
Okay.
We will.
Okay.
But that doesn't surprise me at all, because there were a number of projects that he and I worked on regularly, and it wasn't unusual for him to call me or reach out to me and say, I have this idea, and then his at least with me, he would give me the idea, and then he would say, now
go with it.
You go take care of that.
And that's a burden that I have right now, John, and that is that he had placed something in my lap that I agreed to help him with. And we'll talk about whether we need to try to do it or not. Okay.
Well, we're gonna take a break in just a minute, but I know that when we had the service for Greg, which I think was September, I think it was in September. The I guess idea came up of living like Greg lived, because he did what he wanted, he lived an independent life. But I think there was more to it than that, and I want to touch on some of those things. But we're coming up on our break here, so please stay with us. We'll be back with a lot more right after this.
I know you've had your moments of doubt and struggle, and I'm here to say I'm proud of you.
And although each one of us may take a different path, may we look back upon today as the moment we stepped into a larger world, a greater world.
You will pass this way but once. Do it right.
If ever there was a time to follow your passion and do something that matters to you, now is certainly that time.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and I am here with my very special guest, Willie Mae Samuel. Again, thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for allowing me to be with you. Out of all the many, many, many people in your life, and it was in Greg's life, I just feel honored to be a part of this first session about him.
It had to be you, which I think is a song. But
there is a song. It had to be you. I don't even know who the author, but there is a song.
Well, we're having a conversation today about Greg Shropshire, who was the co-host of this show for many years with me. We lost him last year in August, and we were just kind of talking about, I guess, our memories of him, but also what made him so important. And I was, I know that, we have had conversations in the months since then, and just touch base with each other,
Right. I wanted to make sure that you were okay, because that relationship that you all had, it was a tremendous relationship to be admired,
Well.
and even to be envied if necessary. But yes, it was a tight bond.
Well, I appreciate you reaching out in that way, and yes, we were very close friends. But one of the reasons we were is that we worked on things that were important to both of us over that time. And I mentioned right before the break that at the service it was actually Ms. Perkins, Jennifer Perkins, that had been Greg's supervisor at the Transitional Academy. She used the expression "be like Shrop," because Greg lived quite a life. I mean, in addition to his community work and family, which of course are very important to him, he had a lot of adventures. And just last summer, I want to say June, he went to Egypt, and he told me that he was going about a week before he left. And he said, "I don't have any reservations. I don't have a hotel that I'm going to. I don't have a tour set up. All I have is a plane ticket."
My.
And I don't
He
know
was
many people.
adventuresome,
Yeah, I don't know
wasn't
many
he?
people who would do that.
Not out of the country anyway, maybe here
Yeah.
somewhere, but
Yeah. But and I'm sure you saw some of those Egypt pictures that he sent back.
no, I did not.
Well, I need to show them to you. But
Okay.
he was so happy
Was he?
over there. I mean, at least the pictures that I saw, he looked really happy on that adventure. So
That's great.
So I understand the be like Shrop or live like Shrop idea, but I also think built into that adventurous spirit is somebody that committed to helping the community in so many different ways.
So many ways, and you wonder, well, where did he, like when he came to me with that idea that he wanted to do, I'm thinking, where's that coming from? Because it had to do with a group of young people. He wanted us to get a group of young people, and he wanted us to do something. I don't know if you've ever seen something called Sunday Special,
No.
giving your Sunday's best. And he never talked to me about spirituals or singing or anything like that. But this kind of caught me off guard. But I did say, okay, we'll do it, because I know a lot of people who love to sing and young people who are singing. So I thought we could do that, and we were supposed to do it in October of last year, and but of course he wasn't here for us to plan it. And I'm thinking, I did talk with his daughter. I think it was his daughter, one of the cousins, the two who sung there at the service, and told them that he had a dream, and that if we decided to do it, that I'd want to get in touch with them to see if they could help. So, but that one kind of got me, because he was not that kind of religious person, and he just he treated everybody right, wanted to be right, wanted everybody to do the right thing, and knew that there was a God and all that. But as far as a churchy kind of thing, that was not a part of his nature. Grew up that way though, because I think from his family, and all of his relatives are singers and the church and whatever. So but that was not Greg. So that was a
Yeah.
project that he had put in my lap, and I told him I would help him with, and we didn't get to do it. So
Well, and you brought up earlier the Nickels and Dimes organization, which I didn't remember. I may have known about it back in 2006 or whenever you.
right,
You-
that was when
you
we made
needed
the
it.
loan, and it had to start a little bit before that for them to have money to let us borrow. So it might have started before the 2006. We had to we did a program in June. We staged this in June, so it might have been even 2005 when they got the organization started. So
What is it in a person that drives them to do so much, or at least to try to get so many things started and going? Because that's what that's what I'm thinking about when I think about Greg. I mean, he didn't always do the work of the thing, but he would get it started.
he sure would.
He would get the idea out there, and then he would kind of expect us to move it forward.
Right, if he planted that seed in the right place, he knew it would grow. Because after he said in 2006, you need to do more than one play a year. And it was in January that we always done one. So then we ended up doing one in June and ended up doing one in October. So we had, you helped donate to all of them. We would do the October one, which had to do with the clergy, National Clergy Month, because I'd come here and we'd talk about that. And then we would do the one in June, and then we would do the January one, which was a Martin Luther King celebration production. So, but like you said, he would plant that seed in your head, and if he planted it in fertile soil, it would grow. If not, it just didn't grow. Like maybe this Nickels and Dimes organization or investment club, maybe he didn't plant that seed in the right head, but he would plant, and he did a lot of planting. So.
Well, I wonder if that is not something that we could try to pass along to individuals, not to attempt to do nearly as many things as Greg did over the years, but to do something, or to commit to something, or to help an existing project, or
right, realizing that everybody can't do everything, but everybody can do something, and grab onto that something that completes your life, or that you feel is necessary to make life, not just for yourself, but for other people, better. I think it's something that we can do, we can encourage, we can talk about, because there was something about him. When you said that, I had another friend who, I call it fast living. It's not fast living, bad fast living, but just pressed to just do, just go, just fly, just visit, just go through some adventures. And when he died a couple of years ago, I thought, well, that's why he probably knew something, and that's why the press was on. And I don't know if the Spirit can do that, but that's just how I think. This particular fella, he said, I won't live long. He knew that. And he was forever pressing, traveling, wanting the best to be done and the best to be seen, and just excellence was the level that he wanted everybody to just reach to. And so I think about Greg when I think about that, because he just couldn't stand half-stepping, come on, let's do it. Let's reach for the sky with this. So how do you think we could do that?
Well, I hope at least talking about it today a little bit might get some of that message out. I don't know.
Well, I had told this group that I had yesterday, as I said, we were meeting not about this, but for another meeting, that Greg deserved more than what we gave him yesterday at that meeting. So he deserves more than what we're going to be able to do today.
Oh, I'm sure that's true.
And so let us, I had told them, we'll come together again and we'll record our session, and you get to share it, and you get to share it, with others, not just the people in this group, but another group. So when that happens, I'd like for you to be a part.
I would
it.
be
Okay.
glad to do that.
Okay.
I'll be glad to do that.
Okay.
But everyone that you talked to in that group had their own
Individual relationship with Greg. Like in 2006, I did a play, and one of the ladies that was there had a son that was just rambunctious and out of control, and so Greg was able to pull him in. He had one of the major parts in the play that we did that year, and was the most settled person. And so she said yesterday, she said, I think he has grasped Greg's gifts and talents and behavior, because he's a really neat kid now. He's in service, and so that's what she said. And of course, everybody else had. Brenda Sanford has had a relationship with him, because he did some things with her in her church with her young people, and just taught them how to go out and eat at different restaurants and know how to behave, and the etiquette that he wanted them to have, and dressing with the ties, and just looking fashionable when they go out. And he did that with a lot of young people.
Yeah.
Made them appreciate themselves and who they were. And and he believed in racial justice. We know that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, he
absolutely.
did. Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yes, he did.
And I think the bulk of his community efforts had their core in that. Their,
Core, right. They did, because he
that
always
wish.
told me one day. He said, "Now you, I don't know about you and your friends." He said, "But now if you have not had your friends to eat at your table, and they have not had you to eat at their tables, you have no friendship." He believed in the fellowship over food, and that was the connecting thing with humanity. So, and that was the last thing he said. He said, this group, we have a group that we meet, and we don't meet, it's Zoom. We haven't met yet. And it's called Let's Talk Race. It's sprung from the One Community United. I was feeling frustrated just going to those big, huge meetings, and you sitting on this end with 3 people that you probably came with, somebody all the way down the other end talking to those people they came with. And so I didn't feel any growth. There might have been people who did, but I just said, I don't feel any growth here. So in speaking with Greg and Charles
Love.
and I said, I can't participate in that unless I can feel that we're growing. So that's when this Let's Talk Race group, because the group, what we do in that group is we just talk about truth, really how you feel, and you may not understand the others, but at least if we can get to a point where we can question each other about why or how or whatever, I think we'll learn more about each other and be able to grow. And again, sometimes it may drive you further away from them, but we're hoping that to know them will drive you closer.
I think
in
so.
understanding.
And I know Greg had high hopes for that group. I'm glad they're still
Right,
they're
they
still
still, and he had said, I'm going to have them. I have a little place, but I want them all to come, and we're going to fellowship at my house, because he truly believed in that. If you have a friend, and you call that person your friend, or those people your friends, and y'all can't fellowship in each other's homes together with your feet up under the same table, you didn't have anything.
And we're out of time.
Are we out of time?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been important for you to be here with me today, so I appreciate it.
Thank you
I
so
appreciate
much.
it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us on Community Watch this week, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.